Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here. As always, I want to say thank you for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Welcome to Hate Week! I hate you, Eagles! Now that I've scared the shit out of you, I just got finished watching the press conference of Brian Schottenheimer announcing that they have brought back Deron Bland. They've gotten his deal done, that we're not going to wait till the end of it and franchise tag him or anything like that, or let him go out in free agency and test it. They got the deal done. Now, only time will tell if this is being a good deal or not. But $92 million, 4 years. Don't know how it's structured and stuff, but because they still had this year in there, that gives them more flexibility to kick a lot of that money down the road and give them more flexibility money-wise. In a way, I think that this is also getting this done is a way to turn the page on Micah Parsons. You know, if they did nothing, if they just let Micah Parsons go, traded him away, got the 2 draft picks, got the cash, and did absolutely nothing, then it's just like, it's the same old bullshit that we're getting. But you see, when you look at them for this year, okay, and I'm not trying to give them any credit or anything like that, but they deemed Osundigizua as one of the guys they wanted to keep. Typically what they do is they let them test free agency and then say, come back with your deal and we'll see. No, they got him before free agency. They went ahead, they got Jake Ferguson, and again, that's another one you have to look and say, which Jake Ferguson are we going to get? Hopefully he's Fergalicious this year and ends up being great. But now you got Deron Bland. So you're looking at not necessarily the highest paid people, because Jerry Jones is always talking about we got the highest paid player in the NFL, and Dak, keep throwing him under the bus and stuff. And I hope Lamar busts the bank on that before the season starts here, so we can stop hearing that. But now you got Deron Bland listening to Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer, is now talking about Tyler Smith and hoping that they get that one done. If you actually look at this and say, okay, we locked down Osundigizua, one of the better, 3 technique guy, key guy right there. You kept one of your young guys, Deron Bland, and you didn't wait till the end to pay him. And if they go, same thing with Fergie, that you're now being proactive as opposed to reactive. See, that's the difference with the Cowboys. The Cowboys usually wait till the last minute to do anything, and it costs them more money. They usually wait until, we don't have somebody, let's go out and get somebody. So I'm not saying that trading Micah just to get Kenny Clark, that was the reason to trade him, was to get a run stopper. I mean, you could typically go out, we could have gotten Calais Campbell for a year for about $3 million, but, be that as it may. But looking at it from the standpoint is they made a calculation and said, like you said, 4 guys versus Micah Parsons. Now, here's going to be a crazy thought here. Just I get a lot of shit because I throw a lot of different things on the wall. My thing is give you something to think about and maybe look at it from a different angle, okay? So when you look at that, you may hear me say 2 opposite different things because I'm trying to run through. The thing I will do is I will at least give you a reason behind the theory, okay? So you can look back. When I said, this is bullshit with Micah Parsons being traded, was I'm looking at Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons' mother and saying, yeah, that doesn't look like he's got animosity against her or the family or anything. Or you look at past things that Jerry Jones has done with signing Dak on opening day, or the stuff we went through with CD. And those were the basis of what I was saying, the reason why it's bullshit. Turned out I was wrong, but it had something behind it. I didn't just pull it out my ass. So, what if, just follow me for a second here. What if there really was bad blood in the locker room with Micah Parsons? That the Cowboys were trying to say, we need you to be a leader. And that's why we're going to put you next to Dak so you guys can work your shit out and be co-leaders together there. Not offense, defense. We're leadership on the team. That maybe the reason why that was putting Micah there was we need Micah to learn more from Dak on leading a team. Okay, and I know you trolls are going to say it's some bullshit, but fuck you. But we need you guys to work together because, you guys are forefront, the leaders. But a lot of people, maybe they look at this. Like we said, we've seen Malik Hooker kind of throw him under the bus. We know how D-Law was on. Maybe that there was bad blood there with a lot of people because, we're getting our ass kicked and you're out here joking it up with Big Play Slay. And, you're hanging out with Jordan Love and all these other guys, that have kicked our teeth in. It's kind of like, are you here as a football player on the Cowboys or what? I'm old school where we didn't fraternize with the enemy. I'm old school where Washington players were Washington players and Cowboy players were Cowboy players. And if we saw each other in the offseason, we're probably punching them in the face. But now this whole thing, hey, let's trade jerseys and, all this, that, and the other. Let's do podcasts together. I'm not all on board on all that. I never have been. But, it's a different generation. I'm just telling you my perspective. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's what I believe in. And I'm free to believe in what I want to believe. But what if there really was a problem in the locker room with Micah Parsons and him being a team leader? Because right now, I'm not sure who the team leader is on the Cowboys on the defense. I don't think it's Diggs. Diggs is probably the most tenured guy on the defense. But we know Diggs and the Cowboys kind of been an issue. I don't know if it's him or not. Mike, I got it. I'll call you back, Mike. Deron Bland, who just got that contract, he's one of your older guys that have been on the team. Maybe it's Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, a guy who just got there. Brian Schottenheimer was talking about, that Clark is, a guy who has leadership abilities and things that he might end up becoming a team leader. I don't know who it is, but what if there was a lot of animosity in the locker room with Micah Parsons, that Micah Parsons got his numbers and things like that because Micah Parsons is showboating or whatever, and, I'm going to go get mine. And we've heard him say, I'm going to get mine regardless. That maybe the locker room evolves and changes and kind of like, thank God, okay, all right, we're here together as a band of brothers. And it ends up being a positive for the team. Sounds crazy. It's possible. It's possible. And, I get joked and laughed at all the time, no matter what I say. But I was pointing out to people how 2013, our defense was atrocious. At that time, statistically, it was the worst defense we ever had until 2020. And off of that defense, you had D-Ware was let go. D-Ware was let go. Cut, just let him become a free agent. We took a dead hit on him. He goes on to Denver, wins the Super Bowl with them. Jason Hatcher was our leading sacker who had 11 sacks that year. He signs a big, fat, juicy contract with the Commanders because he had actually a career year that year. He went from having, averaging like 3 or 4 sacks a season to all of a sudden contract year has 11. He signs a big contract with the Commanders and he stays for 2 years and doesn't get 11 sacks in those 2 years. He goes, and Sean Lee gets his knee tore up in the first day of OTAs when a rookie, Zach Martin, pulls and comes around and hits him, and his knee goes. So that defense lost not just their best player, which is D-Ware, lost their team leader in Sean Lee and their leading sacker. Now that defense went from being 32nd to 17th the next year. Not saying it was, world beaters, but they were number 2 in taking away the football. And that defense was a catch, no catch away from going to the NFC Championship game. Now, I'm not trying to bullshit you here and say that, us getting rid of Micah is going to make us a better defense. All I'm going to say is, look at the numbers. Our defense was awful last year. It was awful. And a lot of that was because of the amount of injuries. The only real pass rushing threat we had was Micah last year. Well, we don't have a person who is as good as Micah. But when you look at our number 2, 3, 4, we're better than we were last year. And now we have a guy who, even at average, even if he's only at average at run stopping, that's better than what we've ever done. James Nooks just sent me another attachment. Might be another move by the Cowboys. Got to check it.